Tome believed love was supposed to feel calm, not loud, not dramatic, just safe. And with Sandra, it was exactly that. They met during their first year of college, on a rainy afternoon when the library was almost empty. Tome had taken the last available seat near the window, spreading his books without noticing the girl standing beside him, waiting. "Excuse me," she said softly. Tome looked up and froze for a second. She had tired eyes, like someone who stayed awake thinking too much, and a smile that looked unsure but honest. "Oh, sorry," he said quickly, pulling his books closer. "I didn't realize." Sandra smiled and sat down. That was it. No sparks, no dramatic moment, just two strangers sharing silence. But sometimes love doesn't arrive loudly. Sometimes it grows quietly. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. They began studying together, then sharing coffee breaks, then walking home together. Tome liked how Sandra listened more than she spoke. Sandra liked how Tome noticed things, how she stirred her coffee 3 times, how she avoided crowded places, how she smiled only when she truly meant it. One evening, as they walked under dim streetlights, Tome finally said what had been growing in his chest. "I think I'm falling for you." Sandra stopped walking. Her heart raced, but her face remained calm. "I was hoping you would," she replied. That night, their story began. Their relationship was simple. Tome was protective, sometimes overly so. Sandra was caring, sometimes too silent about her feelings. But together, they balanced each other. Sandra had a close friend named Lena. Lena had been in Sandra's life long before Tome arrived. She was confident, outspoken, and always seemed to know what to say. Tome never disliked her, but he never fully trusted her either. There was something in her eyes when she looked at Sandra, something unreadable. "You're lucky," Lena once said to Sandra, smiling. "Not everyone finds love like that." Sandra smiled back, unaware of the envy hidden behind those words. At first, everything was perfect. Late-night calls, inside jokes, promises whispered in quiet moments. Tome thought this love would last forever. He didn't know that sometimes the biggest damage comes from the people standing closest, smiling, listening, and waiting for the right moment to break something beautiful. And Lena was very patient. Love rarely breaks all at once. It cracks slowly, quietly, until one day you realize it is no longer whole. At first, nothing felt wrong. Tome and Sandra were still happy. They still laughed, still shared food, still talked about the future. But somewhere between "I trust you" and "I believe you," a shadow began to form. And Lena was the shadow. She never said anything directly. That was her strength. One afternoon, Sandra was late to meet Tome. When she finally arrived, her phone kept buzzing. "Sorry," Sandra said. "Lena needed help with something." Tome nodded, but something tightened in his chest. It wasn't jealousy, it was distance. Sandra used to tell him everything. Now there were pauses. Later that evening, Lena sat beside Tome in the campus cafe while Sandra was in line ordering drinks. "You and Sandra are really serious, right?" Lena asked casually. "Of course," Tome replied. Lena stirred her coffee slowly. "I just hope you don't get hurt." Tome frowned. "Why would I?" She smiled. "No reason, just people change." Those words stayed with him longer than they should have. Days later, Sandra seemed distracted. She checked her phone often, smiled at messages she didn't explain. Tome told himself not to overthink. Trust mattered. But doubt is patient. It waits. One night, Tome received a message from an unknown number. Unknown. "Do you know where Sandra really was yesterday?" Tome stared at the screen. His heart pounded. He didn't reply. The next day, Lena showed Sandra a screenshot. "Someone messaged Tome," she said innocently. "I think someone's trying to cause trouble." Sandra's stomach dropped. "Did he say anything?" "No," Lena replied. "But what if he starts believing lies?" Sandra felt fear. But instead of talking to Tome, she stayed silent. She didn't want to create drama. That silence became a wall. Soon, small arguments began. "Why didn't you tell me you were busy?" Tome asked one night. "I didn't think it mattered," Sandra replied quietly. "It matters to me." She looked away. "You're overthinking." Those words hurt more than she realized. Lena listened to both sides, nodding, comforting, then twisting. To Tome, she said, Sandra's been acting different lately. To Sandra, she said, Tome doesn't trust you like before. Each word was gentle. Each word was poison. And slowly, without realizing it, Tome and Sandra began fighting an invisible enemy, while the real one stood between them, smiling. If lies were loud, they would be easy to escape. But the most dangerous lies are the quiet ones, the ones that sound like concern. Lena mastered that silence. She never forced anything, she only suggested, and that was enough. One evening, Tony saw Sandra laughing while texting someone. When she noticed him watching, she locked her phone. "Who was that?" Tony asked, trying to sound normal. "Just Lena," Sandra replied. The answer should have felt safe. Instead, it didn't. Later that night, Lena sent Tony a message. "I didn't want to say this, but Sandra has been really stressed lately. She feels controlled." Tony stared at the screen. Controlled? The word cut deep. The next day, Sandra was distant. Tony tried to talk, but she brushed it off. "You don't trust me anymore," she said quietly. "That's not true," Tony replied. "I just feel like you're hiding things." Sandra's eyes filled with tears. "Because every time I speak, you doubt me." They stood in silence, both hurting, neither understanding the other, and Lena watched from a distance. She told Sandra, "Tony's been asking too many questions about you." She told Tony, "Sandra feels suffocated." Truth twisted just enough to break it. Then came the screenshot. One afternoon, Lena showed Tony a message, supposedly from a boy Sandra once knew. Message, "I still think about you." Tony's hands shook. When did she get this? "Recently," Lena said softly. "I thought you should know." She didn't tell him that the message was old. She didn't tell him she had deleted Sandra's reply, the one that said, "Please don't message me again. I'm in love." That night, Tony confronted Sandra. "Are you talking to someone else?" he asked. Sandra looked shocked. "What?" "Don't lie to me." Her heart shattered at the accusation. "I would never do that," she said, voice trembling. "Then explain this," Tony snapped, showing the screenshot. Sandra's face went pale. "That's old. I blocked him." "Then why does it look recent?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. She didn't have proof. Silence again. The worst enemy. "Believe me," she whispered. But Tony was drowning in doubt. "I don't know if I can," he replied. Those words broke something inside her. Sandra walked away that night, tears blurring her vision, while Lena stood beside Tony, pretending to comfort him. "You don't deserve confusion," Lena said gently. But confusion was exactly what she wanted. And with every misunderstanding, love didn't disappear. It bled. Some fights are loud, some are violent, and some are quiet. So quiet that you don't realize they are the last. Sandra hadn't slept that night. Tome's words kept echoing in her head. "I don't know if I can believe you." She had always believed love meant trust. Without it, love felt useless. The next evening, Tome came to meet her. His face looked tired, angry, and hurt at the same time. "We need to talk," he said. Sandra nodded. She already knew what was coming. They sat on a bench near the old park where they had once planned their future. "I can't do this anymore," Tome said. "I'm constantly doubting. I don't recognize us." Sandra swallowed hard. "Because you stopped trusting me." "That's not fair," he snapped. "You changed first." Her eyes filled with tears. "I changed because you made me feel guilty for nothing." Silence fell between them. Then Tome said the words he would regret forever. "Maybe we were never meant to be." Sandra felt her heart collapse. She laughed softly, not because it was funny, but because it hurt too much to cry. "So that's it?" she asked. "One doubt and everything we built means nothing?" Tome looked away. He didn't have an answer. "I loved you," Sandra whispered. "I chose you every day, but love without trust is just pain." She stood up, her legs shaking. "I won't beg you to believe me." Tome watched her walk away. He didn't stop her, because pride is louder than fear until it's too late. That night, Sandra packed her things. She blocked Tome's number, not out of anger, but out of survival. Lena hugged her. "You did the right thing," she said. Sandra didn't know that Lena had already won. Days passed, then weeks. Tome told himself he was fine, that separation was necessary, that time would heal everything. But nights were cruel. He missed her laugh, her silence, the way she understood him without words. And slowly the doubt turned into regret. Time doesn't heal immediately. First, it teaches you how deep the wound really is. Weeks after Sandra left, Tome felt empty, not angry, not relieved, just hollow. One evening, he ran into a classmate who knew both him and Sandra. "I heard you and Sandra broke up," she said carefully. Tome nodded. "It just stopped working." She hesitated. "That's strange. Why?" She looked uncomfortable. "Because Sandra never stopped defending you, even after everything." That sentence stayed with him. A few days later, Tome saw Lena arguing with someone near the cafeteria. Her voice was sharp, desperate. "I never told him on purpose," Lena snapped. Tome stopped walking. "Him?" He stood still, listening. "You promised you wouldn't say anything," Lena continued. "Now it's too late anyway." Cold fear ran through Tome's veins. Later that night, he confronted her. "What didn't you tell me?" he asked. Lena froze for half a second. Then she smiled. "What are you talking about? Don't lie." Silence. Finally, she sighed. "I was just trying to protect you." "From what?" "From Sandra." The truth spilled out slowly, ugly and unforgiving. She admitted to showing old screenshots as new, twisting words, sending anonymous messages, creating doubt where there was none. "I loved her too," Lena whispered. "I just didn't want to lose her." Tome felt sick. All the moments replayed in his mind, the fights, the accusations, Sandra's tears. He had broken the one person who never lied to him. That night, Tome cried for the first time, not because he lost her, but because he realized he failed her. He tried calling Sandra, blocked. He emailed her, no reply. Then he heard the final blow. Sandra had left the city. She had taken a job far away. She had chosen distance over memories. Tome stood alone in his room, holding his phone, realizing something too late. Love doesn't die when people leave. It dies when trust does. And his trust had failed first. The city felt unfamiliar without her. Tome walked past places that still carried Sandra's presence. The cafe where she used to steal fries from his plate, the library seat near the window, the park bench where everything ended. He carried guilt like a shadow. Months passed. One afternoon, Tome received an email from an unknown address. Subject, for Tome. His hands trembled as he opened it. It was from Sandra. Not a message. A letter. Sandra's letter. Tome, I don't know if you'll ever read this, but I needed to write it, for myself. When I left, I wasn't angry. I was tired. Tired of proving my honesty to the person who once knew my soul. I loved you quietly, deeply, and completely. Even when you doubted me, I chose to stay silent because I believed love should feel safe, not like a courtroom. I heard the truth came out. I'm glad you know now. Not because it changes anything, but because you deserve clarity, even if we lost us in the process. I forgave you a long time ago, but forgiveness doesn't always mean return. Some wounds heal only when distance exists. If you had trusted me once, just once, we could have survived everything. Take care of your heart, Tome. I'll always carry a quiet part of you with me. Sandra. Tome couldn't breathe. Tears blurred the screen as he read the last line again and again. He replied immediately. Tome, I'm sorry. I should have trusted you. Please let me see you, just once. No response. Days later, he learned the truth. Sandra had changed her number. She had built a new life, somewhere far away, where his doubts could no longer reach her. Years later, Tome still thought of her, not as a regret, but as a lesson. Some love stories don't end because love fades. They end because trust arrives too late. And sometimes realization is the cruelest punishment of all.